that it's rough out there and Chauncey is no surprise. That it's rough out there and Chauncey is no surprise. Ironic words from Annie Dillard, the American Pulitzer Prize-winning writer, poet and mystic, sprang to my mind on Monday morning as, early coffee in hand, I was admiring the adult blue tit on my bird feeder. The family of tits had been resident in the nesting box next to my kitchen window, and from there 3 chicks had been raised in recent weeks. My reverie was interrupted as a hawk swept by, seized the adult tit in its claws and flew off across the garden, the small blue and green figure shrieking in its claws. Dillard, during her own early morning visit to her beloved Tinker Creek, had observed a giant water bug, Hemiptera belostomadidae, devouring a frog by literally sucking the life out of it. She reflects afterwards that every live thing is a survivor on a kind of extended emergency bivouac, the precariousness of all existence which we forget at our peril. A thought occurs from the necessary acknowledgement that despite knowing this truth with our heads, deep down inside us is a primitive conviction that the universe should be arranged for our convenience and flourishing, and that when bad things happen unexpectedly, it's somehow unfair. Why, O God, we cry out when cancer strikes or natural disaster, or when nature, red in tooth and claw, destroys seemingly arbitrarily our structures, revealed after all as fragile and contingent. Why should this have happened to you of all people? Wailed a well-meaning cathedral parishioner to the late Colin Slee, Dean of Southwark, and something of a robust mentor to me, when he was struck down by an incurable cancer. Why on earth shouldn't it happen to me, was the typical response. Why should I be spared? Our minds grope for cause and effect when disaster strikes. Am I being punished? Did I do something wrong? Or, forgive me, really bad theology, she was just too good for this world. That the cancer will happen, and that its occurrence is simply another example of the imperfection and randomness of our world, is hard for us to grasp. But, and crucially, accepting it and doing the work of growing into our souls, such that we can encounter good fortune and disaster alike with grace and without rage or self-pity when Chauncey happens, is the real work. I have a quotation from the little-known French writer Alphonse Rabe on my desk. Roughly translated, it advises, think every morning that you might not be here by the evening, and every evening that you might not be here by the morning. I consistently fail to live in the light of that truth. Not living in the light of its rigour means that my pettiness, my small-mindedness, my insecurity, my selfishness daily afflict me and others around me, and great-heartedness, generosity, courage, unselfishness and faith are not nearly as present in me as they should be. Acknowledging both our finitude, the precariousness of our existence, and the consequent imperative to live generously now and today as if it were our last, is perhaps the way in which we're being invited to live our lives by God, who waits for us both within and beyond the bounds of our mortal life, time and physical frame. It is indeed rough out there, rough both created by humanity in the folly and waste of our wars, our selfishness and our greed, but also rough in the random and the unexpected. The hawk swoops and takes the blue tit. Chauncey is no surprise. It's how we respond to living amidst the rough and Chauncey that makes the difference. It's how we live eternity in the here and now.